Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Easy 11 Plus live lesson from me and from a rather wriggly Dimitri. It's fantastic to have you all here today. Don't forget to check out the links in the video description. Crucially, the worksheet for today's lesson is linked in the video description. If you want to get the worksheets every week, a few days in advance, so you can do the questions before the lesson, which I strongly recommend, you want to get onto my mailing list. The easiest way to do that is... Whoa, Dimby, that is not the easiest way to do that. It isn't. The easiest way to do that, your fans await, Dimby, you can't run away now. The easiest way to do that is to click on the link for the free papers and videos linked down below in the description. And if you sign up for those, that will automatically put you onto my mailing list. You can unsubscribe at any time, but in the meantime, you'll get all the worksheets and everything like that. Lots of other things down there. If you want to send me your work for individual feedback, featuring little videos like this one, but just for you, and voice comments and so on, then sign up to 11 Plus Lifeline. You'll learn all about that down there. That's enough of that promotional stuff. Oh, and if you want to join the comments, the live comments on today's lesson, then you need to be a subscriber. That's completely free. The link to subscribe is underneath the video. Easy as that. Okay, I'm just going to let Dimitri out of the door, which he's scratching on, and then I'm going to come back and we're going to do some maths. Come on, boy, out you go. There you are. Good, he wasn't having any of that. I'm sorry, he obviously doesn't appreciate his fans as much as he ought. Right, where were we? He's just managed to scroll my laptop here, which makes teaching maths slightly difficult. There we are. Let's get going. So, this is the last in this series of lessons on this particularly difficult maths paper that we've been looking at, and we're just looking at the last two questions today. In fact, the... Harley, please don't spam the chat. Thank you. However, yeah, we've looked at the hardest question. That was last week, the one about the cars. The two questions today, I think, are actually a little bit more accessible, a little bit more the kind of thing that you might expect to turn up at the end of quite a lot of 11 Plus exams. I don't think they'll take us too long. Let's have a look. So the Collat's conjecture states that if you take any positive integer, which is a whole number, and apply the following rules, you will always reach the number 1 in the end. Okay? What does conjecture mean? It means a well-grounded guess, essentially. So this is something that, according to the term conjecture, as far as all the evidence available is concerned, this person believes always to be true, but they haven't actually proved it mathematically to always be true. It's quite a severe haircut I've got, isn't it? I went this morning for a haircut and I've come back looking interesting. Anyway, if a number is even, divide it by 2. So, for example, the number 8, we divide it by 2 to get 4. If a number is 4, we divide it by 2 to get 2. If a number is 2, we divide it by 2 to get 1. If a number is odd, multiply it by 3 and add 1. So if we have a number 5, we need to divide it by 3, which gives 15, and add 1 gives 16. So we just keep following these rules. And according to this conjecture, we should always end up at the number 1. Funny Bunny says, Robert, you had a different lesson. I am confused. I don't understand. Please explain. Okay. How many steps does the number 24 take? So this is a standard first part question for a longer maths exam question where we just have to begin by working through a particular number and seeing how the rule works. So 24. Yep, that's on the screen. Good. That's an even number, so we divide by 2. 24. 12, even number divided by 2, 6, even number, 3, odd number. So we need to multiply by 3 and add 1. Multiply by 3 is 9, add 1 is 10. Even number divided by 2, odd number multiplied by 3, 15, add 1 is 16. Divided by 2 is 8, divided by 2 is 4, divided by 2 is 2, divided by 2 is 1, and we're there. How many steps? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. But always read the examples. Always. The number 10 reaches 1 in 6 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This does not include the number 10 itself. So in fact, we've got 10 steps here, not 11. And the answer is 10. 10 steps. Robert, I mean there was a different video saying Advanced Maths 4. Last week that was number 3, wasn't it? Wasn't it? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to change the title of this video. I thought I'd done 3 videos on this paper so far, and this is the 4th. I will have to check. Somebody else tell me whether it's me or Funny Bunny who is confused. What is the mean number of steps taken by the numbers 2 to 6 inclusive? So, to find the mean, how do we do that? I have other videos on this channel, on averages, so I'm just going to assume that you know how to do this. If you aren't comfortable with the mean, go and have a look at the other videos that cover it. The mean, you add them all together and divide by the number of things, okay? But we'll come to that at the end. First of all, we need the numbers of steps. So what are our numbers? Let's do a table. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What does this word mean? It means that it includes the numbers 2 and 6. It isn't just the numbers in between, or it isn't the numbers 3 to 6. So we got numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, we got working in the middle, and then at the end we're going to have the number of steps. Okay, and let's do some lines across so that we know what's what. Now we got a nice table, beautifully drawn, really good use of a ruler here. I'm sure you can appreciate a masterpiece in Genesis. Okay. So, number 2, we start with number 2. It's even. Hang on, we don't start, we've already got 2 there. It's even, so we divide by 2, and we've got 1. So the number 2 takes, dramatically, 1 step. But hang on a second. We knew that, didn't we? Because if we go back up, where's my working there? Yeah, number 2 is here in our previous answer. So we can already see that there's only 1 step after the number 2. So we knew that. What about the number 3? Is that in our previous working? Yes, it's here. How many steps are after the number 3? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the number 3 would take 7 steps, because if we just ignore this bit, we have the working for the number 3. So that's 7 steps. So we don't even need to do any working here. Is there a 4 in this? Yes, there is. How many steps after it? 1, 2. So this is a really good illustration of a very important principle in exams. If you've got a multi-part question, the questions will actually often be encouraging you to use things that you've already worked out, and often you won't need to repeat your working in full. Yogi Ram's Art says, Robert, there is another live, people are waiting. I know what's happened. This hasn't hooked up to the actual live lesson. There's something gone wrong with my streaming, and it hasn't turned up there. Oh dear. Well, I'm doing this one now, so I'm just going to have to carry on with it and hope that people turn up. It's obviously just some mess up with the streaming software I'm using. Thank you for explaining. Now I understand. Oh well, if anyone fancies popping into the comments there and telling people that I'm here, I would very much appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. From a number 5, what have we got? Aha, here is the number 5 in our working out for the previous question. So there are 5 steps after it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the number 5 gives 5 steps. And the number 6, is this in here? Yes, it is. It's over here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps. And now we've got that all here. Now to find the mean, how do we do that? Again, I'm not explaining from first principles. Go and look at my videos on averages. But how you do it is simply you add them all up and then you divide by the number of things. So we add these up and then divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So add it up. 8, 9, 10, 15, 23 is our total. So to find the mean, we have to do 23 divided by 5. Well, that's actually a fraction in its simplest form. So you could just write 23 over 5. Or you could turn it into a mixed number, so 4 and 3/5, or you could do it as a decimal, 4.6. I think I like 4.6 best, but it really doesn't matter. Any of those would be a correct answer. Simple as that. Hello to anybody who's come and joined from the other live. I don't know what's happened there. Something's gone wrong with my streaming software. It sent this to a new video, I think, rather than joining the scheduled live lesson. I've no idea why. I can only apologise. Write down a number that would take exactly 12 steps. So when we have an instruction like write down, there's a strong implication that we actually already have all the information or most of the information that we might need in order to find the solution. So let's think about what we've got, a number that would take 12 steps. Well, none of these take close to 12. 6 takes 8 steps. What about if we go back to here? 24 takes 10 steps. Aha! And so we have a way in. Oops, don't want to go to the next one yet. So 24 takes 10 steps. So even numbers, we always have to halve them, don't we? So if we go one step back, 48 would take 11 steps. Go one step further back, 96 would take 12 steps. So 96 would take 12 steps. There are some other numbers that would also produce 12 steps. In fact, there are lots of others. But for example, 17, 640, 4096, apparently I've worked out. There we are. Lots of possibilities there. Welcome to everybody. If anyone there, if anyone fancies jumping in there and adding the information that is going out here because of a technical problem, I would really appreciate that. Thank you. Anyway, I understand that you've got other things to do, like studying the maths here. I can't really go and do it because then I'd get distracted from giving this lesson, and then you guys would go, and then where would I be? On to the next. Right, now this question here looks horribly difficult, but actually when you get into it, I think it's quite manageable. This is an example of a cuboid. There we are. It's just a reminder of what a cuboid is, but it might also be a useful reminder of how to sketch one, which could be helpful. The solutions to this question only require the use of integers, that is, whole numbers. Now that's really, really important, okay? So if you can't find an answer that works with whole numbers, you haven't found the answer. But also, you don't need to mess around with complex calculations involving decimals and so on. Hey says, I still can't read your handwriting. What, even my maths handwriting? All hope is lost. I'm sorry, you're right, my handwriting is absolutely terrible. Okay, let's go on. Some people here think the answer is 900. Not so sure about that. But well done for throwing your answers out there and seeing what happens. Somebody, I think, has the right answer there. What is the volume of this cuboid which has faces with areas 15, 10 and 6? So let's check the terminology here. This is a face, so is this, and so is this. A face is a flat shape that has an area. And a cuboid has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces. Okay, these are sides or edges, and the whole has a volume. So let's work with that. Right, we need a cuboid to work with. What's a good way to start? Sketching a cuboid. How do you sketch a cuboid? Easiest way is sketch a rectangle. Doesn't need to be precise, we're just sketching. Sketch 3 sides going back like that. Then connect them. Don't bother with any shading or anything because you need to be able to write numbers on it nice and clearly. Hello to the people joining across from the other video. I'm sorry about the technical confusion there. I know you've missed some of this, but you can always rewind later. We're just starting on the second question. So, it's got these faces, areas 15, 10 and 6 centimetres. I've got a terribly itchy nose, excuse me. Oh, it's probably little bits of hair from having my haircut this morning. Okay. So, how can we find the volume knowing that? Faces 15, 10 and 6. Well, there aren't so many ways, so many side lengths to make these faces. For example, how can we make 6 centimetres squared? We can do it with 6 times 1 or 3 times 2. And apart from swapping those rounds, 1 times 6 and 2 times 3, they're the only ways to do it using whole numbers. So what happens, this is going to be the 6 centimetres squared face, I presume. What happens if we try it as 6 times 1? Well, if this is 6 centimetres, this face must be either 15 or 10 centimetres squared. So can we times 6 by anything to make 15? No, not a whole number. Can we times 6 by any whole number to make 10? No, we can't. So that doesn't work. Now let's try 3 and 2. So now we make that 3 and that 2. So this face here is still 6 centimetres squared. So this is the bigger face. It's going to have to be 15 centimetres squared. What can we times 3 by to make 15? We have to times it by 5. 5 times 3 is 15. So that face works and that face works. What about this? 5 times 2 is 10. And that's this face. So we've got all 3 faces. So we've got a face that's 6, a face that's 15, and a face that's 10. So it all works. And we now know that the side lengths of this cuboid are 2, 3, and 5. How do we find the volume of a cuboid? We just times the side lengths together. 2 times 3 times 5 equals 6 times 5 equals 30. So the answer is 30. No, it isn't, because we need units. It's 30 centimetres. No, it isn't. That would describe just a length. It's 30 centimetres squared. Nope, that would just describe an area. We need a volume in 3 dimensions, so sideways, up and back, so it's 30 centimetres cubed. Okay, if we're talking about volume. Whoever put 30 in the chat earlier, well done. Nazreen, please don't spam the chat. Thank you very much. As Angels for Life says, why are you here if you're just going to disturb the lesson? Yeah. Okay. This is the last one. This has been super speedy, but I like speedy. I appreciate it. I congratulate myself on my exceptional speediness. A different cuboid has sides with perimeters of 30, 26, and 8 centimetres. Okay. Perimeters. Okay, and really I should have said faces to be clear, but I must be talking about the faces if I'm talking about perimeters. What's a perimeter? It's the distance around the outside of something. So that square has a perimeter, so does this circle, and so on. Perimeter is the distance around the outside. What is the volume of the cuboid? So let's sketch another cuboid to work with. So how do we do it? We did a rectangle, we did sides going back, and we joined them up. There we are, that's our cuboid. It's very messy, but it's clearly a cuboid. It's enough to work with, and there's enough space to write numbers in. And I'm not shading because that would make it hard to write numbers. Okay. 30, 26, and 8. There were lots of ways of making a perimeter of 30 centimetres. You could have, I don't know, 10 and 10 and 5 and 5. You could have 8 and 8 and 7 and 7. Lots of ways to do that. Which of these gives us the fewest options to play with? It's going to be 8 centimetres. How can we make a perimeter of 8 centimetres? We could have one side is 2 centimetres, the opposite side is 2 centimetres, the other sides are 2 and 2. Okay? 2, 2, 2, 2, so it could be a square. We could have 1 centimetre and then 3 centimetres and then 1 centimetre and then 3 centimetres. Going around a rectangle. That would also work. There's nothing else using whole numbers, and at the beginning of the question we were told we have to use whole numbers. So there are only options. Let's try them out. So the 8 centimetre face, I should have said faces, not sides, my apologies, is really going to be this here. Let's try the 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay? So, 2, 2, 2, 2. Maybe you can already see the problem with this. So this and this are also going to be 2 centimetres. So we need one face here to be 30 centimeter perimeter. So 2 and 2, 30 minus 4 is 26. Half of 26 is 13. So it's going to be 2 and 2 and what am I doing? Sorry. 2 and 2 and 13 and 13. If that side is going to have a perimeter of 30 around the outside. So this one here is going to be also 30. We need 26. It doesn't work. Okay, let's try again. I could rub all those numbers out, but let's just sketch a new cuboid. That's going to be simpler. Make it a little bit smaller so I can fit it in on the screen. There we are. Okay, so we tried 2, 2, 2, 2. The other way we can make a perimeter of 8 centimeters using whole numbers only is 1, 3, 1, 3. So we're going to have 1 centimeter and 3 centimeters, and 1 centimeter and 3 centimeters. Okay, so this face here, we got 3 and 3. This is clearly going to be the face with the bigger perimeter, so let's make this 30. So we're aiming for 30. 3 and 3, take those away from 30, we got 24, and then we're left with 12 and 12. 12 plus 12 is 24, plus 3 is 27, plus 3 is 30. And this face here, 12 plus 12 is 24, plus 1 is 26. So we've made it. We've got a face with a perimeter of 8 centimeters, a face with a perimeter of 30 centimeters, and a face with a perimeter of 26 centimeters. Now you get to this stage in the question. At this point, you should always, goodbye Astra Boost, thank you for saying goodbye so politely before logging off. At this stage, you should always go back to the question and check exactly what they're asking you for so that you don't come up with something else. The question is asking us, what is the volume of the cuboid? The volume. And we did that before. It's times the width by the height by the depth. So 12 times 3 times 1. 12 times 3 times 1 is of course just 12 times 3, which is 36. What are we doing? 36, it's a volume, so it's going to be something cubed. What units are we working in? We're working in centimeters, so it's going to be 36 centimeters cubed. And that's it. It's not so difficult. It's just about working through sensibly and plugging in the numbers. One common element of my answers to part A and part B is how I started. I started by finding a number that didn't give me many options. So for example, I realised that there were only 2 whole number ways to make 6 centimetres squared by timesing things together. 6 times 1 or 3 times 2. I could have taken the same approach with 15. I could have said, well, it's 15 times 1 or 5 times 3. That would also have worked fine. In fact, 10 works pretty well as well. So that was quite straightforward. With this one down here, if I tried 30 or 26 centimetres to start with, there would have been loads of ways of adding 2 sets of equal numbers together to make possible perimeters. But with 8, I only have 2 ways of doing it. And that gave me the way in. There were only 2 things for me to try, and so it was relatively straightforward. It's just about working through systematically and trying things carefully, having a clear sense of what a perimeter is, what a volume is, and working them out. It's not too hard if you just take the steps systematically. Malini says, can you do a community post so everyone will know which live to watch? I just don't want to duck out of this video to start doing posts, because then there'll be a big gap in the video and then people will start leaving. I think the best thing is if anyone who's still missing it, it'll be up on the channel afterwards, and then I'll send an email out to people and so on. And I'll also do a community post, as you say, good suggestion, so that people can easily find the right video afterwards. And that, my friends, is that. That is all the maths that I wanted to cover today. Let's go on to the... This is the point at which I'm frantically trying to remember what my prepared tip of the week was. The level of organisation is, as always, absolutely stunning. Yeah, today's tip of the week. So I've said many times in the past that it's really important not to let go of the other things you enjoy when you're doing the 11+. If you're into music, keep doing music. If you're into sport, keep doing sport. if you enjoy seeing your friends, and which I'm sure you do, and having a social life, keep doing it. Because if you start letting go of these things, then the work will start to feel oppressive, your life will be less full, and you'll be missing out on all kinds of other things that make life worth living. And you'll have lots of exams in your life, and you can't always drop everything every time you have an exam to prepare for. Having said that, sometimes it just happens. Sometimes when you've got a big project like the 11 plus to prepare for, some things do fall by the wayside, even if you're working hard to keep up with them. And so today's tip of the week takes a slightly different slant on the same problem. If it happens and some of the other things you do fall off a bit while you're preparing for the 11 plus, don't worry about it too much. Don't beat yourself up. Don't blame yourself for it. It happens. It might be inevitable. So just accept it. Yes, try and keep doing the things you do, but don't blame yourself if you can't. But one thing you should do is have a really clear plan for how, once the 11 plus is out of the way, you're going to pick back up with the things that you enjoy and have to do a little bit less of. Because the last thing you want is to do your exam, and then because you've dropped some things that you enjoyed, you just kind of drift on, not doing as much, not going back to your hobbies, and life is suddenly that little bit emptier. So if you've got the exam coming up, if you're doing less sport, you're doing less music, you're seeing less of your friends, whatever it is you like, have a really clear plan to get straight back into them as soon as your exams are done. And that's how it will feel like it was all worthwhile, and exams are not the worst thing, and you know you'll be able to face the next one. Okay, are there any questions today, even from this slightly reduced number of live viewers? Lots of people just calling each other rude. Some people memorizing highly complex spellings. Mathmaster says best free online resources, please. Have a look in the links in the video description. I do try to make my resources the very best. And you'll find a lot of links there that should help you, and there are some freebies there that you can sign up for. There's a clear link that says free papers and blah blah blah. The thing about the free resources, like all my resources that I put out, is that they've got really detailed example answers and walkthroughs explaining what to do, and so I hope they're useful to show you what kind of answers you actually will realistically produce in the exam. Okay. Anuradha, can we do writing next time? Possibly. I haven't decided what's for next time, but I will bear your request in mind. Funny Bunny, it will be maybe their last lesson. I will be very sad to lose you. But if that's because your exams are almost done, then many congratulations, and I hope they are by soon. Helmina, how did you become a teacher? There are a couple of angles on that. I first started doing any tutoring because I had a friend who was working for a big investment bank when the financial crisis struck, a financial crisis that you were all too young to have even been born for. That's how old I am. And he lost his job in the financial crisis, took up some tutoring, and then he very quickly got another nice job. And so he said, Robert, do you want to do some tutoring? Because I have this pupil and I don't know what to do with them because I have to stop teaching them. So I took that pupil on, and then I took more pupils and more pupils and more pupils and more pupils, and there went my life. The other angle on this is that my old school, Christ Hospital, got in touch and said, help, we need a history teacher now for a year. And I said, I haven't even done A-level history. And they said, we don't care, come teach history. So I went there and I taught history for a year. And then I decided not to stay on longer because I loved school teaching, but it just took up my entire life and I couldn't do anything else. So I called quits on that and went back to doing tutoring. So that was the other part of my teaching experience. And then I just kept doing more teaching and so on for years and years and years. And that is the history of how I got into teaching. Do you do English videos? Yes, squizillions of English videos. Have a look on my channel. There's a link in the video description, but I'll also post it underneath the video afterwards to a file called, wait for this is a really imaginative name, Video List. And I bet you can't imagine what's in that file. And if you want to find out what really mysterious thing is in that file, you better click on it. Because it might just help you to find all my videos, including all my videos for English. Can my cat Sky have a shout out? Everyone should know how wise and cute she is, just like your cat. I hate to break this to you, but Dimitri, my cat, is not at all wise. He's a little bit of a fool, much as I love him. But that's partly because he's still just a kitten. Is there another maths lesson? There will be many more maths lessons, but I have just done 4 almost on the trot, so I think I'll do some other things for the next couple of weeks at least. Mathmaster works 1 hour plus each day. Is that good? It depends. If that includes your time at school, I wouldn't say it's absolutely fantastic. If that's extra work you're doing on top of your schoolwork, then wow, amazing. Very hard work. I love fake questions. The fake questions that are crossed with the humble brag. Mathmaster says, I did Manchester Grammar School test from 2019 and got 92%. I'm in year 5. Is that good? What do we think, people? Is 92% good? I'm not really sure. It strikes me as a pretty poor mark, to be honest. I don't know, Mathmaster. I don't know. Angels for Life has 3 cats, Leo, Simba and Snowy. How do you find any time to do any exam preparation with such an abundance of cats to entertain and distract you? Can we see Dimitri? He's off doing something else. I'd have to break the lesson to get him. Maybe Dimitri's done his time for today. He wasn't that keen on appearing in front of you earlier. I can't imagine why. Right. Are there any serious questions? What tips do you have for Christ's Hospital? No special tips, really. It isn't that unusual in exam. The same kind of standard preparation that you would do for other independent schools. Obviously, my tip is use all my resources. Of course, they will guarantee. They won't guarantee. Nothing guarantees success. My resources are quite relevant for Christ's Hospital, but yeah, I don't think, from what I know at the present time, there's nothing especially exceptional about the Christ's Hospital exam. It's testing standard independent school 11 plus skills, and there aren't any horrible surprises there. There are some past papers on their website, at least there were last time I looked, so they will give you an idea of what spin they put on it. Why did the lesson finish a bit early? Because I just had to finish off that maths paper and there were only 2 questions. Can we see Dimitri? He's off. Everyone keeps asking. Okay, if you can be patient for just a second, I will see whether I can go and get Dimitri. Okay? Hang on. Dimitri, where are you? They want to say goodbye. Oh, there he is. Okay, I've got a lot of fluff coming. I think he's acquired extra fluff during the course of this lesson. I don't know how that's happened. There we are. All right, Dimitri, you're going to come and say goodbye to your fans? Wow, look at all that fluff. Look at all that fluff. You can see that he's got a slightly strange shape around his face. Look, he's been it's kind of cut a bit short there. He went to the cat groomer a couple of weeks ago. And then he got a pair of scissors and went around his head. So he looks like a really bad Photoshop cutout. Isn't that bad, Dimitri? But it's starting to grow out, fortunately. He doesn't look quite as ridiculous. Well, he always looks a bit ridiculous. He doesn't look quite as ridiculous as he did because of the haircut. All right, everybody, it's been fantastic to have you enjoy this short lesson. Now you can pretend to your parents that it's actually gone on another 25 minutes and do whatever you do for 25 minutes. I did not recommend that. Never lie to your parents, people. That would be appalling behaviour. Check out the links in the video description. Have a look at 11 Plus Lifeline. It could change your life. And sign up to my free resources, link down below. Alright, it's been wonderful to have you here. Sorry for the people who were on the wrong video. I don't know what happened there. Hopefully it won't happen again. Look, he just looks grumpy now. Look at him. And Dimitri says, please come back next week to watch me in my next Easy 11 Plus live lesson. Dimitri, it's not your live... Okay, it is Dimitri's live lesson. You're right. I am but his servant. Okay, everybody. Wonderful to see you. Goodbye, and see you next Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock. Dimitri, calm down. What's got into you? What's got into you? Do you not want to see your fans? Do you not want to wave goodbye to your fans? Look, wave, goodbye.